Greetings, friends. Sleepy here. It's Friday, so you guys know what that means. It's time for another episode of the weekly playlist. If you're new to my channel or haven't checked out the series before, in this series, I go over a variety of games that I've been playing during the week, and I share my thoughts and opinions on those games with you guys and let you know how I liked them and whether I think you guys should check them out. One of my biggest goals for 2019 was to play more games in my collection, and I've been doing really well with that goal. Of course, I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on the games that I share today. Let me know if you guys had played them, if you enjoyed them, what did you like about them, what didn't you like about them. I like interacting with you guys as always. I also enjoy getting suggestions from you guys on games you think I should check out. I have games in my collection you think I should play, and maybe I don't have them, and you think I should go pick them up. But I definitely like hearing from you guys. You guys have suggested some great games for me that I am keeping an eye out for because there's some of them I don't have yet in my collection. So I'm looking forward to checking those out. And I'd also like to hear about the games you guys have been playing because it always gives me ideas of new games to try out. Alright, guys, so we'll get started here with the first game. And the very first game that I got is for the regular Nintendo, and that is New Ghostbusters 2. This is released from HAL Laboratories. It's exclusive to PAL regions. It's different than the Ghostbusters 2 we got here in the US, which was the Activision version because they had the exclusive license. So HAL Laboratories couldn't release it here in the US, and it's a real shame because this is a much better Ghostbusters 2 game than the one that we got. The Activision 1 game is just not that great. I really didn't enjoy it. And the original Ghostbusters 1 game was just absolutely terrible on the NES. But I definitely would recommend checking out this new Ghostbusters 2 game because it is done much better. Now, there's some different ways you can play. Of course, you could import an actual copy from PAL region. You could get the ROM and play it on an emulator computer or an EverDrive on your NES. Or you could do like I did and get a reproduction cartridge. There's a lot of these available on eBay. I got mine for fairly cheap. I've seen them, like 15 to 20, 30 bucks on there. And they come in a variety of different designs. I like this classic gray shell NES case, as well as I like the black label. And I also like the end label and the way, the back looks. Because, this just looks like a regular release NES game, and it fits in well with my NES collection, so I like it. But I have seen some of these released with green cases, blue cases, black. There's different variety out there. They have a variety of different labels to them. But this is the one that I picked at the time, and I really enjoyed it, and I think it's good. But you can definitely, get a variety of them out there. I really like this game because of the fact that it, actually follows events in the movie. Like you start out in the courthouse, and then you work your way through a mine and through subways. Eventually you get into the slime and make your way to the museum, and you eventually have to fight the final boss, which is Vigo. So it's a really awesome game. You have all 4 Ghostbusters to choose from, which is really big because a lot of the Ghostbusters game, they always leave out Winston for some reason. I don't know why. You just play the other 3 Ghostbusters. They don't include Winston for some reason, which I like Winston because he's one of my favorite Ghostbusters, because he's like the everyman. The other 3 are like scientists, and then Winston's more of like the average Joe guy that joins the team, and he can really relate to him. So I was really excited to see he was a playable character when I first tried this game out. And there's also a 5th bonus character you can play as, which is Louis Tully, which was their accountant. They saved him in the first movie, and then he came to work for the Ghostbusters in number 2. And eventually, at the end of the movie, he put on one of the packs and helped the Ghostbusters at the end of the movie. So it was really cool seeing him as a bonus character. Now, the graphics in this is, I would say it's similar to play like the Game Boy Pokemon, like red and blue and yellow. You have that top-down view, and the way the characters look just remind me of like Pokemon games. But I definitely say the graphics are pretty good, especially for an NES game. You get to choose 2 Ghostbusters. You control the first Ghostbuster, and the computer controls the second. And the Ghostbusters, or first Ghostbusters job, which you are, if you pick like Ray and Winston example, like Ray will control the proton pack, and then Winston will use the trap with the B button. So A for the trap that goes in the beam, and then you use B and the computer will trap the ghosts for you. And the object is to go through the stage and clear all the ghosts until you move on further in the stage, until like at the end, you face bosses. And like the first bosses you fight are the Scoleri brothers, because you're in the courtroom. And if you guys remember from the movies, the judge sentenced both of those guys to the electric chair because they were found guilty of murder, and they came back to terrorize him, and the Ghostbusters had to save him. So you fight that same battle in this game, and it's really awesome. Controls really well. Sometimes the computer can get stuck, but overall, it's a really fun game. They have a nice variety of ghosts. Like there's a bunch of Slimers in it. There's pink slimes in the game. There's that jogging ghost. There's a ghost with a chainsaw. There's miners that have like pickaxes and stuff that you have to fight. There's a nice little variety, and there's also different bosses. There's 6 levels in the game, and the game just gets progressively more difficult as you get through the game. I haven't beat it all the way through because it is a fairly difficult game, but I've gotten better at it. And I've been playing it for a couple years now that I've owned it, but I still haven't beaten it. But I wanted to try this week, and I was able to get to halfway through the 4th level before I ran out of lives. Definitely would recommend, though, if you have not played this new Ghostbusters, just to, either get the ROM of it and play it in an emulator, or import a copy from PAL Territories, or get a reproduction cart like I did from eBay. There's a variety of them. It's a very fun game. Definitely recommend Ghostbusters 2. So awesome. I got a GameCube game I want to share with you guys that I played, and I hadn't played this one in a long time, a couple of years now, and that was Star Wars Rogue Leader Rogue Squadron 2. I'm a huge fan of the original Star Wars Rogue Squadron game. I love that because you got to control several different ships in the Star Wars universe: X-Wings, Y-Wings, B-Wings, TIE Fighters, the Millennium Falcon and stuff. It was really awesome, and this continues on that game and just improves everything that was great in that one. Like the Death Star battle, I absolutely love. There was the Hoth battle. You battled over Bespin. There was other space battles, and then there's some unique battles in this game that you didn't play, like they weren't in the movies and stuff. And you got to play, and this one is either Luke Skywalker or Wedge Antilles. And then you get to fly, your X-Wings, your B-Wings, Y-Wings, Snow Speeders, and more. Plus, there were some heroic missions that send you both, Cloud City, the Death Star, and other legendary Star Wars locales. A really good game. This was a launch title for the GameCube. It was actually one of the first games I ever played. I remember playing this at Walmart on the GameCube that they had hooked up in the electronics department. I loved the game, and I definitely knew I had to get my own copy, and I'm so happy that I do have one in my collection because this game is amazing. And the controls are done really well, really responsive. The missions are fun. There's 10 of them, plus there's some bonus ones. And you can unlock the TIE Fighter and Millennium Falcon through the games and stuff. So really fun. If you enjoyed playing, combat, ship combat games and stuff, I definitely would recommend these because they're very fun. And the graphics still hold up really well today. I remember watching them the first time it came out, and I thought they were good, and I still think it's pretty good today. Definitely recommend check out Star Wars Rogue Leader Rogue Squadron 2, especially if you only played the first one. You never got to play the second one. Definitely pick it up. It's such a fun game. I would highly recommend that one. Got some PlayStation 1 games. First up here we have Road Rash, which I'm a big fan of Road Rash. I first played this series on the Sega Genesis, but of course the 3DO version, the PC, and the PlayStation 1 versions are the best. Have the best versions of the Road Rash in that because you actually have full videos in the game, where the other ones are just little drawn out animated cutscenes. So you get much better videos in the game. Plus you also have better music and stuff, and the controls and graphics are a lot better. And I really like this series. It's fun. It's like super bikes, heavy metal, and a baseball bat. What else do you need? It was so cool. You started out in the game with a really crappy bike, and as you progress further in the game, and you won more races, you earn more money, and you could use that money to buy better bikes so that you could have an easier time facing the different challengers, because the further along you get in the game, the harder and tougher the guys get. And I really liked the different names of the characters, the attitudes of everybody, and that you also could use weapons. So you could have chains, you could use bats, you could use clubs, all kinds of different stuff. You just even use your fists or your feet. You could punch and kick and knock other racers off their bikes. And then there's also police officers and police bikes that you have to watch out for, because if you get knocked off when they're around, they will arrest you. And there's some funny videos when you get arrested that I like. And my brother and I love to spend time just slowing down and beating the hell out of cops and knocking them off their bikes before continuing on in the race. Like, that was one thing we liked doing, was just beating the cops off their bikes for some reason. I don't know why, I just enjoyed that a lot. It has cool combat, and then, of course, the main focus is you're racing and you want to get to be first place. I do like the different videos in the game, because if you did really well, you got a great video ending, like you grabbed a girl and, everyone loves you and you're like, awesome. But there was some hilarious videos if you failed, like your bike would fall apart, or everybody would make fun of you, or you'd get knocked out or beat up, or a girl would slap you, that kind of thing. It was just really funny watching the videos. Definitely recommend, though, if you're a fan of motorcycle racing games and you like where you can have combat in it, definitely get Road Rash, because this is the first game in this series, and it is done really, really well, and it plays best on either the PlayStation, 3DO, or the PC. So definitely recommend get Road Rash. Such a fun title. Next PlayStation game we have here is Command & Conquer Red Alert Retaliation, and a few weeks ago I started playing the first Command & Conquer Red Alert game, and this is actually contains the 2 official expansion packs that came out on the PC, and that was Counter-Strike and Aftermath. And since this is on the PlayStation, it's standalone, so you don't actually need that game. And this has 34 more missions. It has 100 more different multiplayer maps to choose from. You had new weapons, the Tesla tank, Mad Tank, Demolition Truck, and Shock Trooper. It's, advanced to 4 theaters of war per side, complete with 19 new full-motion video briefings. I always liked in the Command & Conquer series that they used real actors and had real videos to watch as they, brief and talk to you about the mission. And it was really cool. They're kind of a little corny, but it was really fun. I really love the skirmish mode, too, where you would get fight 3 different AI opponents. It was really fun. You could also do play head-to-head if you had a link cable, 2 copies of the game and 2 PlayStations. You could hook them up, and you could battle each other. And you could play as either the Allies or the Soviets, and they have 2 different discs in the set. But this was such an amazing game. I first got into this series because my buddy Bobby, his dad used to have a buddy George that would come stay with him sometime, and then he used to bring his PlayStation with him and his copies of Command & Conquer and Command & Conquer Red Alert, and we first played it with him, and I absolutely fell in love with the series. I eventually got it for the PC, and that's where I played it the most. But, I liked playing on the PlayStation, so I had to get the PlayStation copies for my collection, and they're really awesome. It does support the PlayStation mouse, which I really would like to get. I've never actually used the mouse for the PlayStation version. I always used the controller, which is still controlled well, but of course a mouse would work better. But if you're a fan of RTS games, you gotta play these classic Command & Conquer games. Command & Conquer Red Alert Retaliation is a great expansion to the original Command & Conquer Red Alert on the PlayStation 1 and PC. Definitely recommend getting this. The music is so classic, the missions are awesome, the characters, voice acting, everything is so awesome in this game. Definitely recommend Command & Conquer Red Alert Retaliation. And the last game I played this week, which I actually just got this on Monday, is Tokyo Highway Battle, which this is a really fun racer. Now, it's not the longest game. I do have to let you know that it's a pretty short game. This came out in 1996, but it's really fun, and I didn't really know a whole lot about the game. I hadn't heard about it till I saw it in the store, and it just looked really fun. I found out this is actually related to the Tokyo Extreme Racer series. It's actually one of the first games in that series that started out. There's 12 different cars to choose from. Now, unfortunately, there's only 3 racetracks, but you can race some during the day and also at nighttime, and I really like them at night. And one thing that this game really shines well is the awesome soundtrack. The music selection for this game is awesome. I actually listened to the soundtrack outside of the game off of YouTube just because I really enjoyed the music. And the music can get you pumped up to race, but you also can relax to the music as well. It's done really well. When you first start out the game, you have your first opponent to race as, and you have 3 cars to choose from, and you just have the basic stuff. And he's not too hard, but when you start getting to the other guys, it can be a little difficult. So that's why when you win races, you earn credits, and you can use those credits to upgrade your car. So you customize it with turbochargers, exhaust, intake, suspension, brakes, transmission, aerodynamics, tires, and electronics. There's a shop in the game that you can use to upgrade, and then there's more cars you unlock as you progress a little further in the game, and you eventually have 12 to choose from. There's 6 opponents to beat, and then there's a 7th final one to race. And once you beat him, you beat the game. But you can replay the same levels and beat the same racers. That's what I did. I played the first one like 8 times. I didn't really get bored with it. I was just saving up credits so I could earn more money, so I could buy more stuff for the cars and then upgrade my cars and then get better cars, and so I could play the later guys. I did beat the first 2 guys, but I have not finished the other 4. But I've been having a lot of fun. I definitely recommend, if you like Tokyo racing games, where it's you one-on-one with another racer, I definitely recommend this one. Now, there are checkpoints and you are timed, but I never had any issue of running out of time in the game at all. There's also traffic in the game, so you have to dodge through traffic as you're racing your opponent. There's buses and cars and stuff in the game. And there was a real tight spot I was in when I was playing the second guy for the very first time. He started gaining the lead on me. He got a little past me, and I snuck through him, and then I was able to sandwich myself right between 2 buses, and they cut him off, and that cost him some time and let me win the match. But it was an amazing game. I've had a lot of fun with this, and this is definitely one that I look forward to beating. Since it's not a long game, like I said, you got your 3 tracks. You play during the day, and then there's also night. And then you have the 7 total opponents before you beat the game. But overall, it's still a fun game, and I definitely would recommend getting Tokyo Highway Battle. Had a lot of fun with it, and I'm so glad that I got this in the collection, and I got it for cheap. I only paid $3 for it. Now online, I've seen it go for about $8 to $15, $20, just depending on the seller. But you can get it fairly cheap. They also had this on the Sega Saturn. But I'm loving the Tokyo Highway Battle game. It's awesome, and I definitely enjoy it, and I look forward to beating it. So that was Tokyo Highway Battle. Alright guys, so recapped all the games that I played this week real quick. We had New Ghostbusters 2. This was the HAL Laboratories one. Much better game than the one we got here in the US. The Activision version is pretty terrible compared to this one. You have to actually play as the 4 Ghostbusters. You had that overhead view, and it was a really fun game. Star Wars Rogue Leader Rogue Squadron 2 was an awesome Star Wars game. Great follow-up to the original Rogue Squadron that was on Nintendo 64. More missions, better graphics, and overall better gameplay. Really loved this one. Road Rash, one of the better versions of it. You have the PlayStation 1, 3DO, on PC, I would say, are the best. Of course, you can play it on Sega Genesis, but this one has the better actual videos in it. The graphics are better, the controls a little better. And it's a fun racing game. If you like motorcycle racing and you like being able to beat people with weapons and stuff, your fists, and kick them off and become the best badass, this is definitely the game for you. If you're a fan of RTS games, I definitely recommend Command & Conquer Red Alert Retaliation, because this has the Aftermath and Counter-Strike expansion packs that were released for the original Red Alert. So you get new missions, you get new characters, you get new vehicles and stuff, and new units. Such a fun game. Definitely recommend checking out if you're a big fan of RTS games. And of course, Tokyo Highway Battle, such a fun racing series, and started those Tokyo Extreme Racer games. Has an amazing soundtrack. The controls, the cars do control pretty well with the D-pad. Take a little bit of practice, and I did Forget to mention that there are 3 modes of play. There's scenario, that's where basically the story mode where you play through and earn credits and stuff. Then you can just play basically a single race versus you and the computer. And then one of the third modes is the practice mode where you can choose a track and a car and you just can practice the game and get the feel for the controls and stuff, which I definitely would recommend that. But overall, very fun game. Alright guys, so those were the 5 games that I've been playing this week. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. I definitely recommend all 5 of these games. They were very fun. Great games to have in your collection. I definitely would recommend them to anybody. But of course, I would like to hear what your guys' thoughts on those games are. And of course, if you guys have a suggestion of a game you think I should check out, let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. And I'd like to hear what games you guys have been playing. If you guys want some ways to connect with me, be sure to check out my Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Asiansleepy. I also have links to my gamer tags for the different consoles I play on down in the description. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Take care, have a great day, and Sleepy will see you next time.